Welcome, my dear audience and friends, to Cancer Convos with Grace B. This is your host, Grace B, coming to you from New York City, the city that never sleeps, and is home to Cancer Convos with Grace B. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for your continued support on all my platforms. For the newbies, this show aims to demystify the cancer disease and to bring experts and stakeholders in the cancer space to come give their take. June happens to be Men's Health Month, and I'm going to be spending the month highlighting different cancers that are affecting our brothers all over the world. And in this episode, I'm going to be having a discussion with a very inspiring gentleman. He is a podcast host, he is an entrepreneur, and he's using his experience as a colon cancer survivor to inspire other people in the cancer space. So, without much ado, let me welcome Mr. Truitt Taylor to the show. Welcome, Truitt, and I'm so glad you could come on to be with us.
Hey, Grace. It's great to be with you again. I love your intro. I love what you're doing in the cancer community right now, bringing so much awareness to people all over the world. And I'm very excited to be on your show today.
Thank you so much, Truitt. I'm more honored. So, without much ado, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm 39 years old as of 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
And
happy birthday. How come I didn't know that?
thank you. I have a contracting and design firm here in Atlanta, Georgia. I left the corporate world about 3 or 4 years ago and decided to start my own business. And I have a design and contracting firm here in Atlanta. We do a lot of renovations and remodels and custom furniture in the Atlanta area. And I am a colon cancer survivor, and I host a podcast called the 1% Podcast, where I interview cancer warriors, survivors, and caregivers in order to give them stories of hope to keep pushing forward through their cancer journey.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I know a lot about you, and that's why I asked you to come on. So, tell us, before you had this diagnosis, did you have any symptoms before?
Well, I've always been really healthy. I've never had any kind of health issues. I've always been, into sports and athletics and stuff. And I used to participate a lot in Muay Thai kickboxing. And I noticed I had a match in December, and I noticed I couldn't gain that much weight back after the match. And I was having some abdominal pain in my lower left side. And so I went to my doctor, a GI doctor here in Atlanta. I said, hey, I'm having these issues. I'm also having some issues when I go to the restroom as well. I think I was going to the restroom a little more frequent.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to notice that my stools looked a little different, but I hadn't had any kind of family history of any disease or anything. So I go to him and he says, hey, these signs and symptoms, it sounds like the worst thing you could have would be Crohn's disease. And I was starting to freak out because I've never had a cavity, much less any kind of disease. So he scheduled a colonoscopy and get his scope past the large tumor that I had inside my colon. And so
Wow.
I got diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer because it spread to several of the lymph nodes when they did do the surgery to remove the cancer.
Oh my goodness. And it was a stage 3?
Yeah, it was stage 3 because they took out 15 lymph nodes around the site where the tumor was inside the colon, and it was positive in 3 of the 15 lymph nodes that they had.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. So, what type of treatments were you on during this period?
So once they determined that it was cancerous, they went in and they took out a foot of my colon. And
Wow.
then once they tested everything, they found out it was stage 3. So then once it gets in your lymph nodes, it can be anywhere. So they decided to put me on chemo. And with chemo, where the location of my tumor was, it was really close to where the rectal area starts. So
Mm-hmm.
they put me on chemo and then radiation as well. So I did 6 rounds of chemo, 25 rounds of radiation, and then I finished up with 10 more rounds of chemo after that process. The drug they put you on, it's called oxaliplatin, and it's actually called Folfox, and it has a couple different drugs in it. But oxaliplatin is the palladium-based treatment that they use, and it's very, very
Palladium,
tough.
palladium, right?
Yeah, it's very, very strong, and it presents itself its own side effects that are pretty brutal sometimes.
Mm.
Between the surgery, I feel like you get cut with surgery, you get poisoned with the chemo, and then you get burned with the radiation. By the time I finished, it was pretty tough to just stand up and walk around lots of times because you've had so much internal intestinal trauma happen, and so
Wow.
it changed my quality of life for a little while.
Yeah, that must have been some experience, I tell you. I know what chemotherapy is all about. It is brutal. And then the radiation afterwards. And then, okay, for people like us, it's like on the surface, but this was internal for you. So that's a whole different ball game, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. I had noticed side effects for several months. I mean, I noticed symptoms for several months. And that's one of the big things that, you go to the doctor and you have a little bit of blood in your stool or something. And lots of times it gets dismissed as hemorrhoids lots of times.
Hemorrhoids. Mm,
Yeah. And that's definitely not the case. And it's not the case for a lot of people who've had those type of symptoms before.
absolutely. So, where are you now in your treatment plan? Have you finished everything?
Yep,
Or,
I finished all of my chemo in 2013. And
okay.
August, I will officially be 8 years cancer free. So I'm excited
Touch
about that.
wood, amen.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you're going to pass it. Yeah, definitely. You are. You're looking great and inspiring. So it's good to know. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a long road. Just like anyone who's experienced cancer, we have those ups and downs, those moments where we're not quite sure if we're going to make it, if we're not going to make it. And it really provides opportunities for us to push through. And one of the great things about anyone who's experiences any kind of struggle is, people watch you and they have an opportunity to learn from how you deal with things and learn from your struggle. And no matter how bad we feel, we always have one choice, and that's our attitude. So no matter what we're going through, our attitude is something we have a chance to choose every day. No matter how many days I felt like throwing up or I was sick, I still had an opportunity to choose whether I was going to be happy or not. And I think that's something that really transcended out to my coworkers and all of my friends. I was able to have such a positive attitude, even not knowing the outcome
Mhm.
throughout my whole treatment process.
That's awesome. Absolutely. So, what message would you like to give out there? Um, in other words, how would you like to share your message about colon cancer?
Well, I'd like to tell everyone that the screening levels are dropped from 50 years to 45 years old. I was 31 when I was diagnosed.
31. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
colon cancer is on the rise for younger adults in their 20s and 30s. It's actually decreasing for older adults because of all the testing that's out there. But for 20, 30-year-olds, even younger than that, colon cancer is on the rise. So I highly suggest anyone who's having any symptoms, and look, it's not something that you want to talk about lots of times when it comes down to bowel health or going to the restroom or anything like that. It's not something that you want to bring up that you're having issues with. But if you're
Yes.
having any kind of abdominal pain, especially in the left side, in your descending colon, then really go to the doctor and have that checked out. And if you don't get the answers that you want, you need to go get a second opinion because any kind of blood in your stool is not good. So you really need to check that out. And you're never too young to go get a colonoscopy. And
Mhm.
that's one of those things that's a preventative care. Most insurances will pay for it with a referral from the doctor. So I just tell everyone colon cancer is one of those cancers that if you catch it early, it's extremely easy to get past.
Mhm.
But once it settles in, that's when you see a lot of the higher death rates in cancer patients when they're stage 3 and even stage 4 lots of times. So, but you can catch it early, you can have it taken care of early, and really save you and your family a tremendous amount of pain and heartache and tough times in life. Because I've been interviewing people for several years now who've had all types of cancers, and I've interviewed people who have had the exact same cancer that I've had, and they're no longer with us right now. So you never really know the outcome of everything. So if you can do anything, as far as testing wise, you have any symptoms, I just encourage you to stop right now while you're listening to this and really make that phone call to a GI doctor and get in there and just get seen, at least for a peace of mind. Your family and your friends are all greatly appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Also, something I'd like to mention is that you find out that a lot of, physicians would say, oh, you have to be like over 50 and all that. But 31, that's considered quite a tender age for colon cancer. And you find out that a lot of PCPs would say, oh, no, nothing wrong with you. So, in other words, listen to your gut feeling. Go take that scan or do that colonoscopy and forget about age. When something is not right, if it doesn't feel right, then it ain't. That's what we all say.
That's so true. Be your own advocate. That's the best. No matter if you're diagnosed with cancer or not, whenever you go to the doctor, doctors are brilliant and we're grateful that they're here, but we know our own bodies even better than doctors do most of the time. So no matter what kind of advice you've been given, make sure that your concerns are heard. Be your own advocate, ask a tremendous amount of questions. And if you're not satisfied, go see another doctor, because a lot of people have been misdiagnosed, again, with hemorrhoids and things like that ended up being colon cancer. So I don't want anybody out there for that to be the case for. So definitely go get screened as soon as you possibly can if you're having some issues.
Yes, exactly. You're so apt. Now, something I'd like to find out is what your mental state was during this period, because I know that when I was going through cancer, um, there were bouts of depression here and there. And so I can imagine for someone like you who never even had a cavity and in tip-top shape, what was your mental state at this period?
Well, when I got the news, I was completely devastated. And because when you hear the words cancer, it's usually like a death. I mean, one of the things you think about is dying, right? That's associated with cancer is death. And for me, I had just a few years prior to that, our family had a pretty traumatic experience, and I lost my younger brother. And I remember I had just bought a home when I was diagnosed, and I thought everything was going to be great. It's a new year for me. And then I was diagnosed with cancer a couple months later. And I remember having those moments where, especially in the beginning, my biggest fear was dying and my mother having to, lose another child. I saw exactly, that's not a circumstance that you want anyone to go through, much less twice. And so that was my biggest concern. Then I'd find myself like couldn't sleep at night, and then you're Googling how many people survive with your type of cancer and all those things. And you never find good results. You always find bad results when you do that lots of times. But I just started thinking about all the things in my life I was going to miss out on. Getting married, having children, all those experiences in life. And those really got me down. And then as I continued to go through treatment, man, it was those moments where you can't sleep, you have insomnia, you're up all night.
Yes.
I remember I would just try my best to encourage myself. And so I would just go take a shower, and, as the glass fogs up in the shower, I would write myself a note, you're going to be okay. That way, next time when I got in the shower, that note would pop up for me. And just little reminders like that. But what was so crazy was when I was at my lowest moments,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like God sent somebody into my life or a message, or, a text or whatever else from someone to let me know that they were thinking about me, they were praying for me. And that always picked me up just a little bit. And when you're going through cancer, you're not 100%, you're not 50%. Sometimes you're like 2 or 3%.
Zero, zero.
Zero, yeah, absolutely. And someone picks you up and just offers you a little more hope and inspiration. Man, that did number, tremendous amount for me in my life. And I'm so grateful for that. I call them winks from God. Like, hey, you may feel this way, but don't forget who's in control of your whole life. And it doesn't have to be the outcome. And, feelings change. You feel depressed, you feel sad, especially when you see your body one way, and then all of a sudden, several months later, here I am, no muscles, really skinny, looking really sick, pale, eyes sunk back a little bit, like all the things that happen whenever you have, all the cancer treatments. And it really makes you question your identity a lot.
Mm.
And especially someone who's in their early 30s, when you have a career and you're doing well, and your trajectory is one way, and then all of a sudden now your complete identity is being in question. And I think that identity crisis moment that a lot of people have when they go through cancer, it's really one of those things that you can live in, or you can just realize that this is a chapter in my book. It's not my entire book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to get through this chapter. I'm going to get through this season, just like, seasons change during a year. This season's going to change for me. But it's constant reminders, and having people in your life that will constantly remind you, constantly give you hope, because you cannot have enough positive feedback and positive hope coming your way whenever you're going through like this. So that's one of the things I always encourage people to do. Treat people like they want to be treated. Just listen to them, or give them a little bit words of encouragement, because you never know when those moments will really hit you in the right way. And when my moments where I was lowest, and I always thought I was in great mental health until you
Mm-hmm.
have a traumatic experience like this happen, and it questions your body physically and
Yes.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually. All those questions that you have, those are all normal. It's normal to ask yourself, or to ask God, why me? That's a part of the process. To be
Yeah.
mad, to be sad about it, to really go through the whole grief cycle. Don't get stuck in one area. Really keep digging and keep working your way through the grief cycle, because it is traumatic. But regardless of whether things end up the way you want or not, you can still have peace in the middle of a traumatic event.
Yes, you can. And I like what you said, winks from God. I've noted that down. That is very heavy, and it's very, yeah, God doesn't leave us. Yeah, he comes down through people. He
Mhm.
uses people as vehicles, as conduits, to keep us standing. So that's a very good one. Asides your cancer diagnosis, did you have any other? Yes, you lost your brother, but were there other traumatic experiences that you had to go through apart from the loss of your brother?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I had lost a brother to suicide in 2008,
Oh
and that
my.
happened on March the 25th. On March the 1st of that same month, my father, I was in a motorcycle accident and became paraplegic, actually quadriplegic. So he had that happen. 25 days later, my brother died. 4 years later, I got cancer. So we had some traumatic events
Oh
happen in our
wow.
lives.
Hmm.
And you know, the loss of, my brother, there's always a tremendous amount of guilt for things like that. And,
Yes.
he and I had a pretty big argument a couple of days before he passed away. And that was our last conversation. So that really bothers you for a while. But it's one of those things that you have to realize, for me, that, siblings fight, you would have gotten over it and laughed about it and everything would have been just fine. But, those two events in my life, I didn't know at the time, were kind of preparing me for other things that have happened,
Hmm.
other opportunities that I had. And I feel that way about all traumatic events. Once you've experienced, sickness or a divorce or the loss of a sibling or a parent, that opens you up to a whole new group of people that you are able to connect with. And so that's the way I look at tragedy is, yeah, it's sad, but now I have a whole new connection to a group of people that I wouldn't be able to be connected to before. So I look at all events like that as just an opportunity for God to use me with so many other people that I can relate with, and take my journey right along with that, and just be that open vessel of encouragement to everyone, and let everybody know that we're all in this together, no matter what the media says or tries to put against anybody. We are all human beings, and we're all in this together, regardless of how we feel, what we believe. And I think that is the core of us really pushing through some of the toughest events in our life.
Absolutely. I agree with you in total about all that. Um, s- like you said, we would say, oh, why me? And then I now discovered, why not me? Maybe this is something that I have to go through pain to be able to come out on the other side and be a blessing to others. And being a blessing is that positivity we're creating, that those messages of hope that we're giving out, the platforms that we have, that you have, that you're using to inspire people with. Um, when you look back at it, you say to yourself, yes, maybe we were thinking about a lot of mundane things, but now we're giving our all and we're giving ourselves to the betterment of humanity. Now we know that for you, being vocal about your issue is something that very few men would actually understand. I'm sure they'll say, "Oh, why is this guy even opening up about his experiences?" Because men tend to be less vocal about their health issues or mental issues than women are. So, what message would you like to give out to your brothers and colleagues out there about their health? What key nuggets would you love to give to them?
I grew up in with a very tough father who made me very mentally tough when it came down to playing sports and being aggressive and all those manly masculine things that we're taught growing up. And for me, you know, it's really easy for men to put on a more of a mask of being masculine versus actually being masculine through their emotions as well. And it takes a really strong man to be vulnerable, because we
Hmm.
think if we're vulnerable, we're going to be considered weak. But vulnerability is not weakness, it's actually power. And so I encourage, any guys out there, if it's easier for you to have a conversation in a group full of men versus a mixed group, I think that's your outlet. Talking to your doctor, whoever, you got to have somebody to confide in, but you can't hold all those emotions in. Any kind of anger, hate, all those negative emotions that you would have as a guy, or questions or concerns or fear of being considered weakness. That's one of those things that we really have to drop the stigma on, because a strong, powerful man who's comfortable with his emotions and can still be masculine and still be aggressive and all the things that all this testosterone provides for us. But having a strong emotional health is really important as well too, because if you, as a man, if you are a leader, if you're in a leadership role, people are going to look to you for guidance. And if you lack in the mental health side, they're not going to look to you in that area. And that's a huge concern in the workplace, in family life, is to have someone they can trust from an emotional and a mental health standpoint. So
Mhm.
don't just be out there telling people what you think, and then completely ignoring the mental health aspect of everything, because it's so important. And the stronger you are in that area as well too, it'll just increase your leadership and increase your knowledge, and all your relationships. And everything in the life is about relationship building. Everybody we meet, everybody we come in contact, we have an opportunity to create a relationship.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that you'll have that connection, have that bond to, if you can drop some of the masculinity, drop that mask a little bit and be more vulnerable out there. So I just highly encourage, man, if you want your first conversation to be with me, that's fine too. You can email me as well. We'll have that conversation, or whatever kind of breaks down. But you're only hurting yourself whenever you hold those things in. And you owe it to your siblings and your parents and your family and your friends to not be that way, and really open up more and be just a little more vulnerable.
Hmm. That is awesome. Yeah. My brothers who are listening now, listen to Truitt, and he tells it like it is. Vulnerability is power. I love that. Vulnerability it is power. Now, yeah, we're talking about general men's health now, but as regards colon cancer, what would you like to tell the men about colon cancer? Because I come from Africa, and a lot of the guys might see these, symptoms like blood in the stool or have abdominal pain for a long time. Please, be strategic now as regards colon cancer. What do you want the men to know specifically about colon cancer?
If you have a family history, you need to go get checked. If you have a parent who was diagnosed with colon cancer at a certain age, 10 years before that age is really important for you to go ahead and get checked. If you have any kind of blood in your stool, any kind of abdominal pain, any kind of discomfort with weight gain or eating, or if you're feeling really tired and you have some of these symptoms kind of combining, don't hesitate to make that appointment with your doctor. Be the first one to go out and see a doctor. And just, again, you're never too young to have colon cancer. It's always been colon cancer is an older adult's disease, but it's
Hmm.
not. It's on the rise in 20, 30, and 40-year olds. And so you really need to take care of that right now and go get screened, go get checked. If you catch it early, your life is so much better than them catching it late. And so it's extremely curable if they can catch it early. So let that fear of them catching it late drive you to the doctor right now if you're having any of those symptoms, because once it becomes in the later stages, it's really hard to get rid of.
Yes, indeed. The earlier, the better, you know. And for anyone listening to us now, what advice would you give to anybody that's experiencing cancer or who's experiencing any kind of trouble whatsoever, not just health-wise, emotional-wise? What would you like to tell them?
Everything in life that's wonderful and peaceful revolves around faith. And faith is the evidence of things you hope for, but you can't see. You're hoping for this diagnosis to go away. You're hoping for this relationship to get better. You're hoping for this certain situation to work out. You're having faith, but you can't have faith in something that you want to hold on to. So any kind of emotional baggage, anything that you're holding on to, you can't have faith and open yourself to all the blessings that are going to come your way. And
Hmm.
so I really like to encourage everyone to have faith in what it is that you really want in life. Think about it, talk about it, tell other people about it, because we have a way of really putting that out there. And those needs that we have that get supplied are so tremendous. We always find what we're looking for. And if I'm looking for something hard enough in life, whether it's a new position, whether it's more financial freedom, whether it's a better health diagnosis, I'm going to do everything possible. And that's the only thing we're responsible for. We're responsible for our part. And then what's great for any believers out there, our part is what we're supposed to do, but then, God can come in and just dramatically change any situation. And so that's something that's really important to me, for people to believe, to people to have that hope and that peace, because no matter how bad the situation is, you can still have peace. Some of the greatest people I know are the people who have stage 4 cancer and don't have that much longer to live. They live their life every day with intention, discipline, and gratitude. And I think those are 3 really big things as well too, is having discipline to do exactly what you want to do, getting up early, being somewhere on time, just being strict about, your diet or your exercise, having that discipline, and then having an intentionality behind it as well too,
Hmm.
having the purpose behind it. Like, why am I doing this? Is it for my family? Is it for my health? Is it for my career? And then sometimes the hardest thing to do is actually have gratitude, because you can't have future gratitude or past gratitude. Gratitude is in the present, stopping and being thankful for your spouse, your kids, your family, your job, your opportunity. Every morning when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, thank you, God, for healing me of cancer, for my wonderful wife, the family that we have. I don't have everything I want in life by any means whatsoever, but I have enough to be thankful for, that every day can be absolutely amazing. Just the fact that I'm talking to you today, like the opportunity I have to share this message, having that gratitude really goes a long ways. And gratitude is what equals happiness, no matter
Yes.
what you're going through. Being thankful for where you're at right now, because things could always be worse, but being thankful for who you have in your life, the relationships that you have. I think those 3 things, discipline, intentionality, gratitude, and like I said at the beginning, just, having faith in things that you can't see, believing that they're going to happen, is such a wonderful way to live life every day.
Beautiful. Such a beautiful message. Thank you so much. Looking back, what 1 or 2 things um, do you wish you had known at the beginning of your journey?
At the beginning of my cancer journey, I wish I would have known how hard it was going to be. It's way harder than anything I've experienced in my entire life.
Mm.
So I wish I would have known, been a little more prepared with that. And I
Mhm.
feel like that responsibility, falls on, my healthcare providers and myself as well. I really wish I would have known. And instead of, again, like I said earlier, like being tough and masculine and just saying I can tough this out, like, no, that's not the case. There's moments where you can't. You need to have, prescriptions for this and that to help you through certain things, and you have to be vocal with your doctor and let them know you're having issues and certain things like that. So
Mhm.
I think it was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. And a couple of things, like, you'll lose some friends along the way. And now that,
Mm.
to me, like, how I'm thinking, like, how could I lose a friend during the toughest moments of my life?
Yep.
But that happens because lots of people, I mean, there's different reasons, I guess, but some people just, the thought of you not being here makes them not want to be friends with you sometimes. And if they get any closer to you, through your journey with cancer, that, maybe if you do pass away, then they'll be extra sad. There's a lot of different reasons why people just will completely stop being friends with you. Even though you're extremely friendly, nothing, you haven't done anything to anyone, but just some people just can't handle that side of everything. So, um, oh man, I think be careful what you say to people as well too. I've had countless people tell me, "Oh, I know. Oh, you have colon cancer. Oh, my grandmother died of that." Like, I don't know why you thought that would be something that I would want to hear. That's not encouraging. I don't need to think about death any more than I already have. So just be careful. I mean, you really want that friend that can be just in the trenches with you. Just
Yes,
and
absolutely.
every moment's different. You have days where you don't want to leave your bed, and then days where you just would love, you can just get out and take a walk or do whatever you want to do. And so just meet that person where they're at, whether it's the moment where you're bringing them some food, send them in a note, or either going for a walk with them, whatever else it is. Like, just really meet that need where they're at. So take yourself completely out of it, do what
Mhm.
they need, and then don't expect anything in return, because lots of times we have just enough energy to make it through the day, not to make someone else happy.
Absolutely. And during this time, what websites did you go on, or what supplements were you on? What was it that kept you going? If you could recommend at least websites, cancer websites, or whatever.
Yeah. So after the fact, I found a lot of online support groups, that
Mhm.
because you can be completely anonymous almost through those. Online support groups are really important.
Mhm.
They're all over Facebook. You can type in your type of cancer. If you're a man, there's a group called Man Up to Cancer on Facebook. It's only
Okay.
men talking about cancer. If you're having a good day, a bad day, whatever
It's
it
a closed
is,
group, right?
it is. Uh-huh.
Good. Okay.
Yep.
Mm.
And so you can join that group. And I know the guy that hosts it and the administrator really well. So get out there and join that group, because there's a lot of great content in there. I think as well too, as a man, like, if you're in your 40s, have your testosterone levels checked as well too. That's something that can contribute a lot of health problems. It is low testosterone, so have that checked from your doctor. And I'm a huge advocate for vitamin D. Vitamin D boosts your immune system. And think
Mhm.
about this: everybody has cancer cells in their body.
Mhm.
However, everybody doesn't have cancer. So when your immune system is lower, you're going to be more susceptible to disease, any kind of disease, any kind of virus as well too. And vitamin D greatly boosts your immune system. And I think it's like 90% of people who have colon cancer have vitamin C deficiency. I'm sorry, vitamin D deficiencies as well. So just by increasing your vitamin D, it really helps boost your immune system and helps your body fight off all the diseases. So if I could take only one vitamin, it would be vitamin D, and I highly encourage that.
Daily, right?
Absolutely, once daily. We get it from sunlight, but especially now, as we're
We're
still
indoors.
indoors all the time, and most people work indoors, you're
Yes.
not getting enough vitamin D. So taking that supplement every day, it will dramatically change, your immune system, and you'll feel a difference too in a couple of months.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. What I wanted to ask, is how has this journey been able to change you? Do you have any regrets? Because definitely a journey like this, we do have regrets, like you were talking about losing friends and all that. But how has it been able to change you dramatically? Let me put it that way, um, going forward.
My biggest fear is having regret. And so the regret of the way I ended a conversation, the regret of how I, what career path I chose. Like regret is the scariest thing to me. I don't want to ever have regret.
Hmm.
And so everything I do is intentional now. Like my relationship with my wife is very intentional.
Hmm.
My work, as you're an entrepreneur, like time is way more valuable than any dollar amount. Your time is
Yeah,
so valuable. And then honestly, time is the highest rated currency in life in general. Because once you're out of time, there's no way to buy that back.
you can't.
So in your career, like everything should be intentional, like how I get up, how I treat people that I work with, the projects that we take on, everything is intentional. Like all of my relationships are intentional now. When I have a friendship with someone, I'm intentional on checking up with them. I'm intentional on saying what I feel, being honest, being open. With my mom, I have a very she's gonna kill me if I'm saying this, but like I have a very like strict and opinionated mom. And we disagree on certain things, but I have a very intentional relationship with her too, just to be a good son. And, I'm the man of the family in lots of ways right now with my other sisters and stuff. So, I have to be super intentional. And I think that that's so important as a leader, as a business owner, as a husband, as a son. I have to be intentional. And that's what cancer has taught me. That's what losing my brother has taught me. And seeing my father go through that accident is you're not promised tomorrow. You don't have to be old to die. So when our time comes, that's it. And there's no going back. So I want to be involved in as much as I possibly can and have a great time doing it every day that I'm here, because I know I'm not promised tomorrow. But I can do a lot with the time that I do have. And, hopefully I'll live a long, healthy life from here on out. And
Touch wood, you will.
enjoy every day and every relationship that I have. And just, when God blesses you, he has other people in mind. And
Yes.
so if I'm blessed with life today, it's because other people need to see, different things that are going on in life. So again, that's just the way I look at my life. Like if I'm getting blessed and he's got other people in mind, and as long as I keep getting blessed, then other people will benefit from that as well.
Awesome. That's amazing, Truitt. That's amazing. This has been such an eye-opening and wonderful conversation with you. And I know you've been able to lift up spirits. Anybody that's going to be listening to you now will have their spirits lifted up. One, you're a guy. Two, you're an all-rounder. And three, they'll be able to connect to those key departments of life and see how you have been able to, bounce back after your experience with cancer. Having cancer is not easy at all. We're still getting there. Like I say, I'm not perfect. Everybody sees us host with a big smile, and you know how it is. But they don't know that we still feel very, very vulnerable. But we're just going on to the next rung on the ladder. We're not even thinking about what's going on. Yes, we have butterflies in our stomach with every step we take, but that's not going to deter us from doing what God has now told us to do. Because I think, as you said, being intentional, whatever we do now definitely is intentional. And I'm very happy for it. Yeah, this has been an amazing conversation, Truitt. So my listeners are going to be, you know, um, what should I say, struck by you. And how would they be able to connect with you, your blog, your email, other social media links? Because these are things anyway that I'm going to be putting on my wall, and for people to reach out to you. But just let them know,
Sure.
and I'll put
So
that all
anyone in the
down.
cancer community, you can go to 1%podcast.com and check out all the podcast episodes we've done. Miss Grace will be on a future episode coming up pretty soon. So I'm excited to share that with everyone. But my email is info@1percentpodcast.com. I'm on all social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, everything that you can possibly be out there. I will talk to absolutely anyone. Um, whether you want to follow me personally or just through the podcast. If you're in the Atlanta area, you've got to check out Taylor Design Shop as well too. We have a lot of great renovations and remodel projects going on in the Atlanta area as well too. So definitely check that out. But the best way to connect with me is again through social media, Instagram, Facebook, or at info@1percentpodcast.com.
Thank you so much, Truitt Taylor. It's been a pleasure having you. I'll sign out first and then I'll sign you out. Okay?
Perfect. Thanks,
So,
Grace.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for listening to this episode, as you guys always do. Mr. Truitt Taylor has been a fantastic guest, telling us his experience and how to move forward after a cancer diagnosis. Guys, I know you guys can be very stubborn, right? So, make sure you get to check yourselves. Don't wish anything away. If it doesn't feel right, then it isn't. All right? So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. And wishing you love and light. Thank you for listening. Until the next episode. Ciao, ciao. So, Mr. Taylor,
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
so much. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, and God bless and love to your family.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.